Titanic, the world's greatest ship. The R.M.S. Titanic was known to be the world's greatest ship because of its grandness and magnificent size. This ocean liner was the biggest and best ship in that era. The Titanic was owned by a British shipping company called the White Star Line. The entire length of the Titanic was the size of 3 football fields, and the ship was very comfortable and elegant. The Titanic carried more than 1,300 passengers and nearly 900 crew members. At noon on April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton, England, on the maiden voyage to New York Harbor. The ship's passengers were divided into 3 main groups: first class, second class, and third class. First class was on the upper level of the ship, and first class passengers stayed in lavish cabins. They were accommodated with luxuries. These amenities include library, gym, and even a pool. The Titanic had 2 main restaurants, an elegant and spacious dining room that could seat over 500 people, and the Café Parisien, a French-style cafe. Most of the third-class passengers were immigrants on a mission for a better life in the United States. Most third-class passengers did not have the same level of privilege as the first-class passengers. Many third-class passengers stayed in single bedrooms, and they had to share the 2 available bathrooms. Captain Edward J. Smith oversaw the Titanic, its crew members and passengers. On the night of April 14, Captain Smith received warnings from other ships about icebergs in the North Atlantic. These messages came via wireless radio transmissions from other ships that were in the North Atlantic area. Smith decided to maintain top speed of 22 knots in order to arrive at New York Harbor ahead of time. Also, Smith may have believed the Titanic would have ample time to steer away from incoming danger. At 11:40 p.m., Frederick Fleet, a lookout at the viewing station, spotted an iceberg emerge in front of the ship. With the captain's decision to maintain top speed, the Titanic did not have ample time to steer clear of danger, and the ship collided with the iceberg. This led to breach in the ship's hull, and gallons of seawater gushed into the ship's 5 compartments. When Captain Smith and Thomas Andrews inspected the extent of the damage made to the ship, both men knew the fate of the Titanic was sealed, and the Titanic was in grave danger. They both realized the ship was not able to hold that much water, and inevitably the ship would fill with water. They knew at the point the Titanic could not be saved. Andrews, the chief designer of the Titanic, estimated the ship would not stay afloat for more than 2 hours. As the water began pouring into the lower levels of the ship, an evacuation plan was swiftly put into place. Captain Smith had provided instructions to his crew. He advised his crew that women and children were the first to board the lifeboats. He was well aware that there was not enough lifeboats for all crew members and passengers. Lifeboats on the Titanic had enough room for about half the number of passengers and crew on board the ship. Crew members were given the difficult task to lead and coordinate women and children to the lifeboats for safety. Passengers were initially confused when they were advised by crew members to place on their life belts, and many passengers got lost in search of a lifeboat for survival. The third-class passengers were unable to ask for help because they were not able to speak the English language. The bow of the ship pitched downward, and the downward force resulted in the ship breaking in two. As the Titanic sank, crew members and passengers had little choice but to jump ship into the dark, icy water, with risk of hypothermia, and suffer a terrible death. At approximately 2:20 a.m., the entire Titanic disappeared below the surface. Speed and Captain Smith's error in judgment later proved to be some of the few factors that led to the sinking of the Titanic. Both Captain Smith and Mr. Andrews went down with the Titanic, and they were never to be seen again. On April 15, more than 1,500 lives were perished in the North Atlantic as a result of this catastrophic accident. More third-class passengers perished in the tragedy than first and second-class passengers. There were about 900 crew members on board the ship. Almost 700 perished in this Titanic disaster. The Titanic disaster is one of the most famous disasters in modern history. This video is dedicated to my younger brother, Jack, who is fascinated about the Titanic and the Titanic's history.